The year is 2017. Cinema is thriving with such brilliant movies as Kodachrome starring Jason Sudeikis, Baby Driver, the Lego Batman movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and the He Is Literally Me movie. But that all changed on one fateful September 22nd, or if you're a European like myself, October 13th. I'm still pissed about that. That's right, I'm talking about the Lego Ninjago Movie, which today is celebrating its 5-year anniversary. No wonder every year past 2017 has progressively gotten worse. I shouldn't have to tell you that the Ninjago movie is certainly a controversial topic in the Ninjago community, with most of the community absolutely hating it and saying it just never existed. But does the movie really deserve that kind of treatment? Now this video isn't gonna be a video essay on how the Ninjago movie is actually a masterpiece, because it absolutely is not. Instead it'll be more of a retrospective, looking back in the movie 5 years after its release, covering the movie itself and everything it spawned, such as the sets along with the lead up to the movie's release. To make sure this retrospective is as fair as it can be, I decided to fully embrace the movie by re-downloading the Ninjago Movie video game and 100% completing it, along with watching the actual movie 5 times. Why must I torture myself this way? Before we can start tearing the movie and its accompanying video game apart, we're gonna have to start all the way from the beginning of the movie's timeline, with the first piece of media related to the movie being an animated short called Enter the Ninjago.
Hey buddy, how you doing? I'm the president of Hollywood. Thanks for giving us your life story.
I gave you my life story?
Handshake's a deal. Anyway, the Greenlight Committee doesn't want to make a movie about a big dummy with a bunch of dumb ideas, so we made a couple of changes.
Oh cool, I remember this. That's my most favorite part of my whole life, where I take out the robots with my crazy driving.
Yeah, the boys back in the writer's room, they had a couple of ideas. Hit the road!
Wait a minute, is that a ninja?
Yeah, have you met Lloyd Garmadon?
Nice to see you, Emmett.
Kids love ninjas. It's a sad fact of life.
Okay, well, I guess that makes sense. So you just added ninjas to the movie?
Well, market research shows that ninjas by themselves are so 11 seconds ago. So check out the new hotness.
Emmett, we need to attach the wheel to something that spins around, spins around, spins around, spins around.
Wait, was he on a skateboard?
Cowabunga.
Okay, but at the end of the movie I still saved the day, right? Just like how it actually happened in my actual real life?
You know, you'd think after 2 examples your expectations would be lowered already, but if they're not, lower them more.
Don't, Emmett!
What? Yeah, we had to put that in there for the international audience. Turns out they don't love words. They love pratfall / physical comedy and cute furry animals.
Instead of making my life story, why didn't you just make a whole movie about ninjas?
What a great idea, kid! The Ninjagos!
Warner Brothers presents the Super Crunchy Ninjascape or Party Movie with pratfall / physical comedy and cute furry animals for the international audience. The international audience includes the UK, Australia, and other English-speaking territories not part of the continental United States, Alaska, and Hawaii. Coming soon to a theater near you! Super Crunchy Ninjascape or Party Movie with pratfall / physical comedy and cute furry animals for the international audience was the biggest bomb in the history of cinema. The studio lost all their money, they tore down Hollywood, and no one ever made a movie again.
This short was released on the Lego Movies DVD in 2014, and was basically their way of announcing they're going to be making a Ninjago movie. The short itself isn't really anything too special, and it's just scenes from the Lego Movie, but now with Lloyd slapped in. The only special thing about this short is that they managed to perfectly predict the Ninjago movie being a total failure. This Enter the Ninjago short was the only piece of media related to the Ninjago movie released in 2014, with no new announcements being made, so we can move on to 2015, which unfortunately brought the news of the movie being delayed. Instead of releasing on the planned date of September 23rd, 2016, the movie is now scheduled for a September 22nd, 2017 date, with the animated movie Storks taking the original date. Did anyone even watch this movie? With the movie being delayed until 2017, that now meant that the second half of 2016 was missing new Ninjago content, leading to the writers quitting Days of the Departed and the Dark Island trilogy to fill in the empty spot. Honestly, I don't know why they even bothered. Skybound was more than enough for 2016. At least the Storks movie did feature a Ninjago movie animated short before the movie, but we'll talk about it in a little bit, as right now we're moving to June of 2016, when the voice cast for the movie was officially revealed, along with the ninjas' new designs, and let's just say that, fans certainly had some mixed reactions. Man, they really did Zach Woods dirty with this headshot. I remember when the cast was first announced, I only recognized Michael Pena and of course Jackie Chan. The only other cast member I might have known would have been Dave Franco, simply from him being James Franco's brother. Just like everybody else, I was upset that the voice actors from the show were being replaced, but that's just how Hollywood works. You have to cast big name celebrities to actually get people to see the movie. Nowadays, Chris Pratt will be playing Lloyd. And also, just like everybody else, I despise these new designs. To be fair, this was a very low quality first look at the new designs, so maybe you shouldn't have judged them just yet. but that certainly didn't stop us from doing exactly that. I remember for some reason thinking that Jay had a mohawk in this image. Again, maybe we shouldn't have judged such a low quality look. I also remember quite a few people along with myself thinking Neo was using the cavewoman hairpiece, which thankfully was not true. Sensei Wu was probably the most well received new design. I mean, it's literally impossible to make a bad Wu design. All you're doing is making an old man with a long white beard and white robe. Speaking of Wu, let's leave the new designs for now to speak about the Ninjago movie short that played before the movie Storks, The Master. The premise for this short is that Sensei Wu is going about his daily duties of upkeeping his temple when a chicken suddenly appears and begins to ruin everything, beginning a battle between the two, which eventually ends with the short revealing that maybe the true master or the friends he made along the way. JK! This short is actually pretty funny, and just like the Ninjago movie itself, is wonderfully animated. The short also features a really good looking temple, which I wish we got to see used in the movie. I guess it does kind of get destroyed throughout the short, but it's literally made out of Lego, it could easily be rebuilt. At least the Ninjago movie video game features a temple in its tutorial level and every time you boot up the game. A fact I learned all too well. Fun fact, the chicken introduced in Season 11 is actually a reference to this very short. Yeah, it's actually not that much of a fun fact to be honest. On February 6th, 2017, we was finally time to get our first official look in the movie, with 3 new teaser images. One of Sensei Wu, one of Lord Garmadon, and the one that almost ended the world, the first official look at the ninja's new designs. Saying that people lost their shit would be an understatement. Lloyd was now an emo with weird green eyes. Cole looked like a hippie. Zayn looked like whatever the hell this was. Kai's hair was comically large and his scar was on the wrong side. Nia looked like a carbon copy of Barbara Gordon from the Lego Batman movie, and Jay looked like a femboy. The amount of hate and scrutiny these designs got was nothing like anything Ninjago had ever faced before, with the love triangle being the only thing that comes to mind. I don't blame myself or other people for hating these designs back when they were first revealed. We were so used to how the ninja looked in the show, and they all look completely different. The hate for the movie would continue 2 days later when the first trailer for the movie was released, and, once again, saying that people lost their shit would be an understatement. The Ninjago community certainly had some issues with the trailer. Lord Garmadon having a fish-themed army was seen as pretty stupid and random, and the movie overall just didn't look like what people wanted from a Ninjago movie. Looking back at this trailer, it comes off more serious and dramatic to me, with the muted colours and fog effect being slapped onto almost every bit of footage to make it look more grounded. I guarantee you that if this trailer came out today, people would try to pull a Sonic and get the ninja's designs back to their original designs. Really the only positive for this trailer was that the animation was the best we've seen from the Lego movies up until that point. This trailer was the first time we got to hear the voice actors doing their job, and what we did hear from the four that actually spoke sounded decent. It also gave us a look at what we could expect from the tie-in sets we'll talk about later. The movie's second trailer would be released on July 22nd, 2017, and is in my opinion the better of the two. Its colours are a lot more vibrant than the first, and it showed the movie's comedic tone unlike the first, which again came off a lot more serious. This trailer actually made me excited for the movie, along with the movie just looking better. The trailer featured a new song from the American authors called I Wanna Go Out, which I'm fairly certain I'm not allowed to play because of copyright, so just go listen to it yourself, it's actually a pretty funky tune. And this song really hyped me up for the movie. It just seemed to fit it so well with the ninja being in high school in the movie, which of course meant it would not be featured in the final film. Overall, this trailer was certainly received better than the first. Of course, people still had their grudges at the new designs, but everything else seemed to get most of the community excited to see the movie. Of course, these two trailers were not the only pieces of footage released. Before the movie came out, there were numerous different TV spots and other promos, but these two were the main ones I wanted to cover. At least one of the promos gave us this legendary clip.
I just downloaded all the newest, coolest music the kids are listening to my hard drive. I'm digging that funky tune Despacito. Dab me outside.
Before we can finally start looking at the movie itself, we're gonna have to take a look at the sets released before and after the movie's release. The Lego Ninjago movie sets were released on August 1st, 2017, with a second wave of sets being released in the winter of 2018. The value of these Ninjago movie sets are honestly the best out of any other wave Lego has released. The Destiny's Bounty came with 2,295 pieces for a really good price of €170. Don't get that kind of value nowadays, I can tell you that much. Along with the value of these sets being great, the actual builds themselves are great as well. One of my personal favourites being the Temple of the Ultimate Weapon, the previously mentioned Destiny's Bounty, which is the second best bounty we've gotten. This of course being the first, Ninjago City Docks, and of course, the fantastic Ninjago City. What can I say about the set that hasn't already been said by everyone else? For €300 you are getting such a brilliantly designed set, filled with great little references to the Ninjago show and even other Lego themes. This set was followed up by the Ninjago City Docks, which is quite smaller, not as good in my opinion, but it's still a great set to have when combined with the main city. Ninjago City Gardens isn't exactly a Ninjago movie set, but considering it links up to the other two movie sets, it seems fair to talk about. This set has got to be my favourite Ninjago set and possibly even my favourite Lego set of all time. Until I can get my hands on this, of course. The last set I want to talk about is this Ninjago Movie branded Lloyd Spinjitzu Master Spinner that released alongside the Sons of Garmadon Wave in 2018. I have no idea why they made this set. I guess since they included Lloyd Spinner in the Sons of Garmadon headquarters set, they had to throw in a movie Lloyd to make sure every ninja got a spinner. This spinner makes no sense, as the ninja never used Spinjitzu in the movie, despite it even being mentioned in the first half of the movie. I guess this is what could have been. Now with the sets out of the way, let's take a look at some of the figures from these sets, mainly just focusing on the ninjas' new suits. Before going over the ninja, let's quickly look at Wu, Garmadon, and Coco. Starting off with Wu, his figure is pretty good. The printing is fairly simple, but the cloth piece adds some much more needed detail, and helps it stand out against the many other Wu figures they've gotten over the years. In the CMF series, Wu came with printed arms, which certainly helped complete the figure, and if you ask me, should have been included in every set it came in, just like Nia. Lord Garmadon's movie design is pretty similar to his original appearance from the first season of the show, now using a new top half piece for his 4 arms, along with a purple cloth draped over his torso, which works quite well, along with the new helmet, which looks really good. Out of the 3 characters in this section, Coco certainly got the biggest makeover. For starters, they straight up changed her name, and no longer did she look like an old woman, but instead a woman some people on the internet would call mommy. Her hair was now orange and came with a new hairpiece, which we still unfortunately do not have for Harumi. Along with having 2 casual attire figures, Coco received a figure of her alter ego Lady Iron Dragon, and this figure is terrible. The obvious flaw is the face print. How in the hell did they think this was acceptable? I know that in the movie she does have the black outline around her face, but if this was all they could do for it, I don't think people would have complained about them just using one of the other 2 Coco faces. Unlike in the movie, this figure doesn't have arm printing, which is such a disappointment when half the ninja got arm printing but not her. Another disappointment is that she just uses plain black legs. In the movie she doesn't have any detailing, but at least some sandal printing like they do in Nia or Wu would have been better than nothing. So what if it doesn't accurate to the movie? They sure didn't care about accuracy or the movie or plain ass arms. This figure does have some positives however, with a nice looking skirt piece covering most of the plain legs. The torso print is actually really well detailed, and she comes with 2 new excellent pieces in the form of her shoulder armor and a hairpiece, which unlike her casual hair, would actually be made in white for Harumi. Alright, with those 3 out of the way, we can start to look at the ninja suits, starting from Lloyd, who has the best in my opinion. His suit is the spitting image of what I think of when I imagine a ninja outfit. The black and green with bits of gold work so well together. The green bands on his arm really help tie it all together. All over the torso and arms are these little black diamonds, and they really help add some extra detail and depth to the suit, which really wasn't needed but looks so good, and helps the suit stand out against the other ninja. Next up we have Kai, who has a much simpler design than Lloyd, but it doesn't look bad at all. The more simplistic design helps the suit feel more neat and proper. I guess to make up for the more simple design, they gave him a shoulder armor piece which did not appear in the movie for some reason. Moving on from Kai, we have his sister Nia, who, like Lloyd, received arm printing which wasn't really needed, but helps add some more detail, especially when the legs only have toe printing. Of course, this is because for the first time ever, Nia had a skirt attached which helps cover her legs and looks really good too. I can't help but think that Nia's suit is somewhat inspired by our hero, Lady Iron Dragon. Both of them share the same color scheme minus the blue from Nia. Both feature arm printing, well, at least in the movie, and to tie it all together, they both feature a greyish skirt piece. Just something I wanted to point out before taking a look at Zayn, who definitely has the least detailed figure, which I feel is meant to represent this character in the movie, which is pretty simple and 2-dimensional. I have no problem with the suit being as simple as it is, as, again, it complements his personality, and just the 2 colors of black and white work so well together with the way the suit is designed. Cole is next to be overanalyzed, and is the last of the ninja to have gotten arm printing, which helps the sleeveless design match up with the rest of the suit, with it sporting small black and gold armbands, the same color as the torso and legs. Again, this is a pretty straightforward design which again complements Cole's laid-back personality in the movie. Finally we have Jay, who has my second favourite suit of the bunch. Totally not because I'm a Jay fan. The dark blue works extremely well with the black, and bits of orange really makes the suit pop. And I'm pretty sure that this top orange section is meant to represent Jay's scarf being worn under a suit. This frame from the movie kind of confirms it, and I think if it's actually true, there's a really nice attention to detail. All of the 6 ninja came with this new double mask made specifically for the movie, so that the animators could make it easy to tell which ninja is speaking, and this mask is my favourite ninja mask we've gotten. For one, the mask just looks really good, with having a more tighter feel than others. Secondly, it actually allows some customization, with you being able to swap the top and bottom halves around with whatever colours you want. And finally, the mask works with every Ninjago armor piece made before and after its creation, which is super cool. You could even fit the mask on top of Jay's scarf. Neat. If you didn't already know, the movie suits were used as the base for the Sons of Garmadon outfits, with Lloyd's and Zayn's just being recolors and slight tweakings in the movie designs. Kai and E are the most different, but their movie variants share the same torso design, and they also share the same torso designs here, so I think it counts as movie inspired. Jay and Cole also feature a different design from their movie versions, but do share a lot of the same elements, such as Cole being sleeveless and having a black and brown colour scheme, while Jay shares the same pouch design from his movie attire. With the Ninja's figures out of the way, we're not quite done with Ninjago Movie minifigures yet, as I'm sure you all know there's an accompanying CMF released, and my god is it terrible. I'm just gonna say it now that it sucks Evan and probably will never get a CMF in the Ninjago show, and I'd be lying if I said I hadn't tried multiple blood sacrifices in order to get one. The main issue with this series is that most of these characters never show up in the movie, and are just random figures thrown in to make it to the 20 figure mark, which exposes another problem with a good few of these figures, being ripped from the sets or just being improved or even downgraded versions of said figures from the sets. Take this Lloyd for example. It's the exact same figure in the sets with a downgraded face print that only includes a smiling face. Sure, the printing quality is better, but why not include the angry expression as well? Or just make a new face? Another issue with this series is that it overall just feels so cheap. Again with the reuse of figures, but also with a large majority of figures just not having any back detailing. For some it makes sense, since their back is covered, but for the rest it's just straight up unacceptable. I just wanna say, how the hell will you be able to get 360 printing in a smoothie cup but not goddamn Spider-Man? Well, after that rant about the Ninjago Movie CMF, it's finally time to talk about the Lego Ninjago Movie video game. We'll get to the movie eventually, I promise. The Ninjago Movie video game released for all major consoles on September 22nd, 2017, the same day the movie released, if you are not European. I originally played this game sometime after its initial release, say sometime in the middle of 2018. I 100% completed the game and basically did everything you could have done in the game. So what was my final verdict back then? It was the spawn of Satan himself. I really did not like this game when I first played it. I'm fairly certain it was mainly because I was just salty that this was our first ever main console Ninjago game, and instead of being based around the show, it was instead based around the movie, which at the time I also thought was the spawn of Satan himself. So to prepare for this retrospective, I decided to finally re-download the game, and once again 100% complete it, with a totally unbiased opinion. So what is my final verdict now? It's alright. It's definitely not the best Lego game I've played, and far from the best Lego game of all time, but it was decently enjoyable. I do feel though that the story mode is quite short, with only being 13 levels, being 2 levels shorter than the Lego Movie video game, which follows the same type of structure, with also being a movie tie-in game. Of course, with it being a movie tie-in game, they use footage from the Ninjago movie for the cutscenes, and it is absolutely horrendous.
See what I mean about the weak voice? A little bit. That's how he talks.
Do it again?
A little bit.
That's not how that doesn't sound like me.
He sounds more like this.
The voice acting in this game is the worst I've ever heard, and yes, I have listened to my own. I swear they just grabbed random people off the street for this game. I understand that they didn't have the budget to get the movie cast, but they could have at least gotten the voice cast from Shadow of Ronin, who actually did a good job, unlike the movie game cast who all sound so lifeless. Okay, that's enough ranting about the cutscenes and voice acting. Let's cover some of the more positive parts of the game, starting with the combat. At the time of this game's release, the combat system was the best in any Lego game, now being surpassed by the Skywalker Saga. While you play the game, you'll be given these Ninjanuity tokens, which can be used to upgrade certain combo moves such as the Skyward Dragon and the Rushing Boar, which are really fun to use and more engaging than the usual spam the attack button that most Lego games feature. Along with upgrading your combo moves as you progress through the game, the weapons the ninja use are also upgraded. It's kind of cool to see the movie ninja wield golden weapon versions of their weapons. Despite this game being based off the Ninjago movie, it's a lot more faithful to the TV show, with half of the character roster featuring characters from the show, going all the way from Season 1 to the latest season at the time, Season 7. Unfortunately, they only included the ninja suits from Season 1, which is a shame because if they included Eye Patch J, this game would have been an instant 10 out of 10. The faithfulness of the show doesn't just stop at the roster, as all across the multiple different explorable areas, there are small unlockable sections, based off locations of the TV show, such as the City of Styx that even features the Temple of Air Jitsu and the Samurai X Cave. A really cool feature in the game is that to unlock the villain characters, you actually have to battle them in these battle dojos, scattered across the Ninjago map, which is super neat. My favourite would of course have to be the Misfortune's Keep battle. Another neat little addition to the game is that every character you unlock actually comes in a small blind bag, which at the time was the first in Lego games, with the Lego Incredibles game shamelessly stealing it a year later. Just like almost every other Lego game, this game features a character customizer which is pretty decent. I sure had some fun with it. The last thing I want to discuss about the game is the multiplayer. I didn't play a lot of it because, well, I don't have friends, but what I did play was somewhat enjoyable. This game has 3 different multiplayer modes: Samurai Showdown, in which you steal other players' flags; Mystic Bounty, where you must collect all the orbs around the map, and Ultimate Weapon. For this mode you have to grab the ultimate weapon and hold onto it for the longest amount of time. All the battle modes have these really cool illustrations, which is something the game does a lot, and it certainly helps to stand out against other LEGO games, with it being very stylized. The actual last thing I want to cover about the game is the exclusive figure that was included with any pre-order of the game. It is literally just Lloyd from the sets but with a kendo armor. This is such a lame pre-order figure. The Avengers scale from the previous year had a way better figure. Even the Skywalker Circus Blue Milk Luke is better because at least it comes with an exclusive face print, whereas the Lloyd is again just a set version but now it's kendo armor. Jackie Chan's human character Mr. Lee would have been a way better figure to get. They already had a design for it in the game, so surely wouldn't have been so hard to make. And so with that, it's finally time to cover the Lego Ninjago Movie behind the scenes. I believe it's important to look at some of the behind the scenes of the movie before discussing the final product, just so you can see where you could have gone and how certain parts of the movie evolved. For this section, we will mostly be looking at the Making of the Movie book, released in 2017. Special thanks to DuckBricks for allowing me to shamelessly steal this footage. There will be a link in the description below to check out DuckBricks' channel. The first concept we'll look at will be for the many vehicles featured in the movie, starting with Lord Garmadon Shark Mech. These two designs here are certainly the most interesting out of all the scrap designs. They look and feel a lot more intimidating to me than all the other designs, which come off more comedic and silly. This concept drawing here kinda gives off an intimidating vibe too, with their large, almost spider-like crab legs easily overpowering Kai's mech. This next design seems to be able to transform from a swimming shark into something right out of Metal Gear Solid, which, as a Metal Gear Solid fan, wish they ended up using. Our final Garmadon mech design also seems to have a transformation feature, with it once again transforming from a swimming shark to a large on-foot mech, which really looks like a mobile battle station, with the different spots for the shark army to fire from. It's certainly a more interesting design than what we got in the end. Now we'll be taking a look at the ninjas' vehicles. I'm going to skip over Lloyd and Nia, since their vehicles never really went through any major changes. Lloyd always had a mech dragon, and Nia always had a weird water spider. So let's start off with Cole, who seemed to start off with a more drill-inspired mech, possibly being referenced to his Earth Driller. They eventually ditched the driller look, and decided to just make a standard mech, with them later swapping their legs out for the final wheel design. Next up we have Kai, who in the final movie pilots a giant mech like Cole, but was almost going to have a firefighter truck. Definitely wouldn't want to call him if your place is on fire. Instead of spraying with water, you'd have made it worse by literally fighting fire at fire. We're done talking about robot mechs, and now at the tanks, with Zayn's ice tank which went through multiple different types of tanks. The only non-tank design is this drawing here, which really looks like a snowmobile from the show, which would have been neat to see. Our final ninja vehicle to go over is Jay's lightning jet. The final design looks very much like a spaceship, but some of the early ideas had a more hover car look to them, like these two here. Above these car designs is a drawing that kinda reminds me of the Boulder Blaster, or the Monkey Kid Red Sun's Inferno Jet. As I said before, the final design has a spaceship vibe to it, and this design here follows the same kind of spaceship look, featuring the same wing design as this one Star Wars ship. With the vehicles now out of the way, we're going to take a look at the different designs for the characters, starting with Lord Garmadon, who isn't really that different from his TV show design. One of the main differences, however, is the helmet. My personal favourite of scrapped helmet designs would have to be these three here. They all just look super cool and menacing. Right below those helmets, we have helmets that featured a crab design, which I'm glad was not used. Imagine him showing up in Season 8 with this helmet on. After Garmadon, we have his ex-wife Coco, who seemed to have been a blonde at the beginning of the design process, followed by a brunette, which could have been a nod to the show Masako, who had brown hair in her younger years. We're not done with Coco yet, as we have some other designs for our Lady Iron Dragon persona, which, to be honest, I kinda prefer a lot of these designs over the final design. Or at least the head designs, which didn't feature the black ringer on the face, which, as we saw earlier, definitely would have been better for the sets. Before we can discuss the ninja, we have to go over Wu, who didn't really change that much. But what did change is the fact that in the original idea for the movie, we would have seen a younger Wu and Garmadon that can be seen here. You can tell that they just copied and pasted the design from here over the 100th Wu. As you can see, young Wu and Garmadon went through quite a few changes. Out of these more traditional Japanese designs, I'd have to say that these are my favourite. A bit of Wu chest action never goes underappreciated. Now it's on to the ninja, starting off with Lloyd. I made a joke earlier about his movie design being emo, and they really took that to heart with actually having him be emo. The other design present is for his casual appearance, which really isn't that different from the final design, except for this one here, with a striped shirt and black jacket on top. Here we have 3 different designs for Lloyd's ninja suit, with the one on the right being a lot closer to the final look than the previous two, which don't look that bad. The middle one is my favourite of the two. Nia is next, and as you can see, she almost looked identical to her show appearance, with her black hair remaining short but being shaped slightly different. As we know, they did decide to give her a ponytail, and on this page it looks like they were actually playing around with the idea of having Nia with dyed red or blue hair. In the end, I'm glad they kept her black. Just like Lloyd, we have some designs for our ninja suits, and all of these look really good, and I certainly wouldn't have minded one of these being the final design. This one kinda suggests a different kind of weekend whip. After Nia comes Cole, and they didn't really go through that many designs for him. It's only his clothes changing, with them selling on an AC/DC band shirt. We did however get this outfit in the city docks. Onto his ninja attire, they again didn't really go through that many different looks, but they did have different ideas for his weapon, starting with a somewhat mace-like weapon and then settling on a hammer in the end. Following Cole we have Kai, who also didn't go through that many changes other than his casual clothes, and his lack of clothes. According to the book, a part of the movie was meant to feature Kai losing most of his clothes, which sounds super weird, but I'm sure it would have been totally hilarious, and I was all doing a laughing crying emoji. Putting Kai back into some clothes, we have 3 suit designs which are all the same basic design but are slightly different. This one would have been terrible for keeping a secret identity. Now it's time to look at Zayn, who as you can see went through quite a few different hairstyles, even including an afro. Would have been interesting to see if they brought that into the show. Besides the hair, we have a few images of how he was going to react to 8-bit face designs, which I think would have been pretty funny to see. And then we have these faces. These are terrifying. There's also a different design for Zayn's suit, and it's not half bad. I like the skirt, and like Cole, he too almost had a different weapon, which I kind of prefer over his bow, but it doesn't really matter since the bow didn't even appear in the movie at all. The final ninja to look at is Jay, and his suit was going to be completely different, with it being based off a flight suit, and I'm very glad it didn't happen. Even if he just wore it in his lightning jet, it still would have been pretty jarring to see, and it doesn't feel like something from Ninjago to me. This other design is a lot more like something from Ninjago and looks really nice, reminding me of this Sensei J piece of art. Now that we're finally done talking about the stuff we did get in the movie, it's time to move on to the more interesting topic of stuff we didn't get in the movie, and the scrap plot for the original idea for the film. Starting us off, we have some concept art for a character named Warren, with a Cyclops named Gary. According to the book, these two are meant to be bounty hunters. These two went through multiple different designs, all seeming to represent a distinct kind of genre, like these more technology based ones, and this one built out of objects found in a city. There's even one with a toilet. My favourite part of these designs is all the different ways they managed to include a face, with my personal favourite being this brick built one, and then there's one that just looks like a minion. Warren and Cyclops Gary wouldn't have been the only bounty hunters, as this page here shows many other bounty hunters, which, if you ask me, would have been a great way to feature Ronan in the movie. I mean, hey, this guy already has Ronan's hat. Part of the original idea for the movie actually featured Serpentine, so here you have some concepts for how they would have looked, and can you notice something? These designs would later go on to be used for Season 7's Vermilion, which I think is pretty cool. Since I just mentioned the original idea for the movie, I suppose it's time to cover that. Charlie Bean, the director of the movie, confirmed that the original plot for the film would have been a time travel movie, and as a big Back to the Future fan, I wish you could have gone that version of the movie instead. The whole idea of the ninjas travelling back in time would be for them to stop the Great Devourer from biting Garmadon and turning him evil. Why in the hell did they scrap this idea? It's so much more faithful to the show, and a lot more interesting in my opinion. But no, I guess we just had to have the heckin' wholesome chonker Meowther. Charlie Bean also mentioned that a high school part of the movie would have been a lot more prominent, which I'm not sure how that would have worked with the ninja going back in time. Would they have just ripped off Back to the Future and have Lloyd set his parents up? Hopefully they wouldn't have copied everything. To go along with the Great Devourer scrapped idea, we have this piece of concept art depicting what would have been an entire city instead of the Devourer's stomach, with Jay and Nia having been eaten by the Devourer and needing to find a way out. This is such a cool idea, and once again, I wish we got this version of the movie instead of whatever the final product was. Well, lucky for us, we actually have 3 deleted scenes that are from the original version of the movie. Well, actually, 2 of them are. The other one is just a deleted scene from the original movie, which I really wish was included in the final cut, as the fight choreography is excellent and I wish we got to see more of the ninja in the city. Like saving civilians like this scene, or even just traversing through it like this scene, because it just looks beautiful. A more finished version of the scene was included in the bloopers and outtakes for the movie. There is a very obvious joke I can make here.
Do you see that, Woo? Rain has stopped. It will be a beautiful day for battle.
Oh, I'm not him.
Brother, I hope this doesn't sound weird, but do you ever feel like there's this invisible weight hanging over you?
Yeah?
Terrible. Sometimes I get scared when I see everybody's faces out there.
Yes.
It's strange, but do you want to hear the thought that bounces around in my head more than anything else?
Yes?
You have to promise not to tell anyone.
Yes.
The thought that I'm always thinking is that I'm gonna let everyone down. I'm sorry, Wu. I can't expect you to understand what this kind of pressure feels like.
I know exactly how you feel.
Nice try.
What? Whoa, 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 whoa.
Thought you could get the jump on me, assassin?
Whoa, no.
Not bad, trying to get close to me impersonating my brother.
Calm down. I was just thinking that since the mongoose is finished, you might let your guard down a little bit. But not in the way like an assassin wants you to let your guard down, because I'm not an assassin. I just thought that we could play catch.
It's a bomb! I see this isn't a bomb, but I feel like you're hiding something.
I'm not. Well, I mean, I am.
Oh, and by the way, if you think that I'm soft, you're wrong.
I'm sorry if I did something to upset you.
I'm not vulnerable. Probably you are. I was just putting on a face so that you could let your guard down and I could see who you really are. I'm on to you, Lloyd. Whatever your name is.
It is Garmadon. Funnily enough.
Our first deleted scene to go over features Lloyd, who has travelled back in time and meets a young version of his father, in hopes of getting connected to him, only to be deemed a terrorist. Even though the animation isn't complete, it still looks beautiful with the rain and the environmental details, such as the water and greenery scattered around the area.
Remember, Lloyd, stealth is key here.
Yes, Master.
Most important of all, do not look down. Oh, jeez.
What's wrong?
I looked down.
You just said not to do that.
I was just trying to sound wise. Didn't know it would actually be this scary.
Shh, the guard might hear you.
Oh, good thinking. Excuse me. There's a young man and an old man under the bridge in need of assistance.
Hey, get off!
I can't quite reach your axe. Do you have a safety harness? Clipping a safety harness to me. What are you doing, Lloyd? They're clearly trying to help us. Hey, this bridge is not engineered correctly. Somebody should alert the property inspector. This is dangerous. This bridge like this. We're in earthquake country. Oh no, it's the big bomb! That was a test. You passed.
This last scene to talk about includes the surfer team originally meant to appear in the movie. These guys are actually included in the Ninjago Movie video game, which is a really cool inclusion. Along with having great animation, this cutscene is also pretty funny, a lot funnier than most of the jokes in the final film. And so with the deleted scenes and cancelled version of the movie covered, it's finally time to talk about the Lego Ninjago Movie itself. The Lego Ninjago Movie released on September 22nd, 2017, if you weren't in Europe, to mixed reactions from both critics and audiences. Overall, the movie made $123.1 million at the box office, with a budget of $70 million, making significantly less than the first Lego movie and the Lego Batman movie released earlier that year. Even Morbius made more money. I remember the lead up to this movie was crazy for me. I watched every single interview I could find of the cast members to see how the ninja would have sounded, and I was also watching every released piece of footage from the movie practically 24/7. And before I knew it, it was the 13th of October and finally time for me to watch the Lego Ninjago Movie. And I thought it was a masterpiece. The first time I watched the movie, I absolutely loved it. I thought people were crazy for hating it, because there's no way that Ninjago movie could be bad. And then I saw it for a second time. I no longer thought it was a masterpiece. Back then, I was definitely blinded by the fact that I just watched the Ninjago movie to not notice the many flaws of the movie, which I had ample time to notice because I watched this movie 5 times for this video. That is 8 hours and 40 minutes of my life I will never get back. Let's start with the positives of the movie, starting with the animation. Out of the 4 Lego movies, it is for sure the best animated. The mix of Lego elements and nature looks downright beautiful. Along with the real environments just looking great, it also helps this movie stand out against the other 3 Lego movies, especially since it isn't connected to any of the others. The choreography for all the fight scenes is excellent, which is mostly due to the fact that most of them are actually done practically by Jackie Chan's stunt team, and then animated into the movie. My third positive will have to be the movie's cast. Every single one of them does a great job of voicing their characters, which sucks as the majority of them really go underused, as Lloyd and Garmadon hog all of the screen time, with my personal favourites being Zach Woods and Come On Nanjiani, who both bring some much needed comedic moments to the film. No movie is complete without a soundtrack, and the Ninjago movie has a great one. I would play some of it, but, you know, copyright exists. So go do yourself a favour and listen to some of the songs, which even includes a Ninjago movie version of The Weekend Whip, which is just the original. Unfortunately, this is where my positives for the movie must come to an end, with our first negative being the fact that this movie is labeled as a comedy, despite it just not being funny. Don't get me wrong, I do find some parts of the movie funny, like the scene with the ninja carrying Garmadon through the jungle. Most of the scene was actually improv by the cast, which again just shows how good they all are. The cast being allowed to improv also led to some interesting pieces of dialogue.
There was a lot of stuff that was definitely too dark for a Lego movie. I
did a good 45-minute rant about the victims of capitalism that they weirdly didn't put in the movie, and they actually kept trying to interrupt. They kept saying, please stop, this is irrelevant, and really heavy-handed and sanctimonious, and I said, no, I'm going to make it all the way to the end.
I remember at one point improvising something where it's like, well, why don't you go home and choke yourself with a belt while you masturbate?
One of the main offenders in the movie trying too hard to be funny would have to be the godforsaken ultimate weapon joke.
The ultimate weapon!
They do this twice.
The ultimate weapon.
I get what they were trying to do with this gag, but it just comes off as something about YouTube poop, or a desperate way to keep the children in the audience interested. At least they had a funnier version of this gag later on in the movie, with Zayn's Martial Arts Movie Club.
Zayn's Martial Arts Movie Club! The Deadly Groundskeeper!
Cocktail 3!
The Iceman Puncher!
Furious Iron Fist! Wall Puncher! Yeah!
Versus!
Two Bills Volume 2!
Board Game of Death!
The main Designated Mask! Hitman!
Judo Future Boy! Lock 2! The Joy Lock Club! I told you you're wasting your time, I'm bound to give up that way of life!
A really big complaint about this movie is that none of the other ninja get any time to shine, but surely that can't be true, right? So let's go over each ninja's character arc, starting with Jay. Okay, let's talk about Zayn's character arc. Next we have Cole's character arc. Now let's go over okay, you get where this is going. The rest of the ninja are barely used in this movie and are basically just a group of side characters. In the middle of the movie, there's a scene where all the ninja must work together to save Lloyd, but it just doesn't work, as we never got to see these characters properly grow and develop into proper ninja. It was just too little, too late. To see how underused the other ninja were, I read through the movie's entire script and counted each time one of the ninjas spoke, ordering them from highest to lowest. Surprising absolutely nobody, Lloyd is first with a total of 330 lines. Next is Jay, with a count of 122 lines. After Jay we have Nia, sitting at 101 lines. Kai is after his sister with 95 lines. Second to last we have Zayn, who had 70 lines. Last and most certainly least is Cole, having a total of 63 lines of dialogue. The ninja team in this movie also just do not feel close at all. There's one point at the beginning of the movie where Jay calls Lloyd his good buddy, but it comes off as so forced.
Jay, you take the air! 10-4, good buddy!
I think the easiest way to fix this problem would be to have the movie be an origin story, showing the ninja meeting and actually becoming a ninja team, forming a bond that is actually believable and plays a key part in the movie. Remember the live action parts of the Lego Movie that added so much emotional depth and enhanced the movie's message? Well, this movie tried to do the same, but completely failed. There are two live action scenes in this movie, one at the beginning and one at the end. Both of these live action segments are so unnecessary and just take me out of the story the movie is trying to tell. It feels like they just wanted to show off that they managed to get Jackie Chan to be in their movie. Well, at least these scenes gave us the rarest Ninjago minifigure, in the form of a small wooden wheel owned by Jackie Chan. This prop was only given to certain people who worked in the movie, which I'm assuming was their only payment. Speaking of being paid, I'm fairly certain Dave Franco never was. Instead he must have signed up for a happy birthday post every year from the movie's social media page, as they've been doing it since 2017. Unfortunately they never did it this year. If we can't trust the Lego Ninjago Movie Twitter to wish Dave Franco a happy birthday every year, then who can we trust? The Ninjago movie just feels like a parody of martial arts movies, which leads me to think that they should have just made a Lego martial arts movie. The premise of the movie could be like Street Fighter, with martial artists from all over the Lego world being invited to partake in a martial arts tournament to crown the greatest martial artist. They could even feature the Street Fighter characters in the tournament. The ninja of course would make an appearance at the tournament, but would merely just be a cameo or side characters and not the main focus of the movie. They wouldn't even have to be redesigned, since they would have so little screen time. And that leads us to the final thing to discuss about the movie, the redesigns. It makes perfect sense why the ninja got new designs for the movie. It's not connected to the show in any way, and helps the general audience so these two aren't the same thing. Until they decided to shove them into the show. I'm pretty sure one of the main reasons for this was to get fans from the movie interested in the show by making the ninja look the same, which makes no sense as not a single fan came from the movie. Now, what I'm about to say is absolutely gonna end in my head on a spike, but I actually prefer the new designs over the original designs. The old designs are very generic and bland when you compare them to the newer ones, The new designs stand out a lot more and are more expressive as well. Do I agree with them changing the show designs to be like the movie? No. I think they would have been better off combining the two. They sort of did this with Kai and Cole, with Kai's hair not being as large, and Cole keeping his scar but only in RX form. I'm thinking more along the lines of having Jay keep his eyebrow notch, and just giving her a ponytail but leave her face the same. They basically did this with Zayn, as they kept him in his titanium form but now with the shorter hair. In conclusion, does the Lego Ninjago movie still suck after 5 years? No. And I don't think it ever did. It was totally unfair to think that this movie could live up to, at the time, 6 years of storytelling. If you just figured out about the show, it's a pretty enjoyable watch. I just warned that you didn't watch as much as I did. If it weren't for the movie reintroducing Lord Garmadon, we would have most likely never have gone Sons of Garmadon and Hunted, arguably two of the show's best seasons. It's also just a miracle that Ninjago even got a movie in the first place, and it no doubt got the franchise's name out there. I remember dreaming of getting a Ninjago movie, and even if it wasn't what I wanted, I can still appreciate it for what it tried to be. Would I like to see a Ninjago movie too? Maybe. But if they did it, I'd like to focus more on the other ninja, basically kicking Lloyd to the curb for this one. There's one thing for sure, that if they did make a sequel, it'd be the first movie in history to make $10 ninjillion.